again to another episode of Nolzur's Marvelous Tutorials with RealmSmith. This is episode 34, and today we are painting a bunch of draft horses, and not your crazy, ferocious monsters as usual, but the techniques that we use today. You can paint the horses from the Adventurers Camp. That's where this is from. This is the D&D Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures horse from that camp set. I've got 4 of them I'm painting today. We're going to do some different colors across each of them. And then also comes in that set are these 2 wagons, and they're Esmeralda's wagons. I'm using them as Vistani wagons in our Into the Mist live stream. Today we do have a producer joining us. He is arriving in a couple minutes. Julian is our new producer for all of our streams, actually. He was here last Monday and did an incredible job for Into the Mist, and he will be joining us tonight as well. So let's get through some announcements real quick, and then we will jump right into the tutorial, and we're really excited about that. First off, of course, as usual, our main title sponsors, D&D, of course, for hosting us natively on their Twitch channel. We're also on the RealmSmith Twitch and also on our RealmSmith Facebook as well for all of you there. I am not in the chat right now because I'm going to focus on painting, and Julian is actually going to moderate the chat and then field questions and all of that fun kind of stuff. Do also want to thank Vallejo for sponsoring us and sending us all this awesome, wonderful paint on a regular basis so that we can do this, as well as WizKids, of course, for the incredible miniatures that they create that we can paint here. Also, Sirenscape, we are using their sound sets to add ambiance to the tutorial. They are a main title sponsor of Into the Mist, and so we are showing them some love on this as well. You can hear that there's a bit of a wagon sort of Vistani camp going on behind us. There's a bard playing, and there are horses and a campfire. If that becomes too loud, just sound off in the chat, and we will turn that down a little bit. It's too distracting, but I love the ambiance. It kind of gives me creativity and kind of puts me where I need to go. Just so you guys know, for those of you that are interested in our adventure boxes, we ship out monthly adventure boxes with a homebrew campaign that we've created, actually branded and plays Sterling in our Into the Mist campaign, all the modules for them, and we send you everything you need to run a super immersive experience at our table each and every month. You can check that out at realmsmith.tv, and if you use the promo code IWantAdventure, you get $20 off your box, your first box, or your first full purchase on our website. So you can check that out. GaryCon, we're super excited about GaryCon this year. That is the end of March. I believe it's March 27th to 29th. 26th to 29th, I believe. And we are going to be there in so many different ways. We are playing our finale of our Into the Mist campaign. Come on in. Julian has just arrived, and like I said, he is on all the chats. So you can field questions there. Lean in, Julian. Say hi to everyone. And just lean in the camera. There. Hello! That is Julian, and he is super excited. We'll talk more about his kind of D&D background and his experience and why he's super pumped to be here. But GaryCon, we were doing the finale of Into the Mist live at the show. It's not going to be live for the people at the show. It's going to be live for everybody at home. But it's really fun to be able to play with some celebrities that we can't talk about yet, as well as Nora Ibrahim from Have Dice Will Travel in LA by Night. She will be joining us in a role for that time as well, and others as well, which will be super fun and super exciting. We're also doing we have a booth there. We'll be doing demos of our games, so make sure that you sign up for those. And we're also taking Nolzur's Live to the show. We have an amazing miniature that we'll be painting. It'll be brand new. It's coming out in March, so you'll be one of the first ones to get your hands on it. And it is the young red dragon that everybody has been really excited about and looking forward to receiving. I have painted one here that I'm going to show you in a second when we go to our different camera angle here. But we will be painting that with a celebrity. We're just nailing down who that is, and we will announce that ASAP. But make sure you get tickets. Tickets are limited. There's only 40, and for $20 you get the class. Plus you get a double-wide, large WizKids D&D Nolzur's miniature to paint. I think that's it. If you enjoy what you've seen here and you are loving everything from RealmSmith, make sure you follow us here. Follow D&D Twitch as well. And You can also check us out on youtube.com/RealmSmith and youtube.com/DND, because all of the VODs from all of the episodes that we've done so far are up on those channels. So make sure you do that. So let's go through our tools list and then our paint list. And is my mic not on?
It's on now.
There you go.
Oh man, that whole time they couldn't hear me?
It was pretty low.
Yeah, your mic was probably picking me up. Sorry, folks. Forgot to switch that little switch to green. That means that you guys could hear me. So you haven't heard a lot of that first part, but it was pretty low. Hopefully you heard us. I don't think I have to do the announcements again, do I? We should be good.
I think we're good. They were saying they could hear you, but the ambience was louder than you were.
Yeah, it's because that's your mic there. You can put that mic on, actually. And it was they were probably getting me through your mic. I apologize, folks.
Yeah, they could hear you.
Okay.
Muffled.
I apologize. Now it's good, right?
Much better now. Yeah, we're all good to
okay,
go.
we're good. All right, good stuff. All right, so let's jump in here. Live, folks, this is what happens. All right, so we have the D&D draft horse miniature by WizKids. We're doing 4 of those. Got some Vallejo brushes, of course, a 0, a 1, and a 2. A Vallejo dry brush, which is actually a number 4 brush. Water pot for diluting and cleaning your brushes, of course. Paper towel for dry brushing and cleaning your brush, and a paint palette for mixing. Big paint list tonight because we're doing 4 different colors of horses. We have Heavy Sienna and Parasite Brown, and black wash for that dark brown horse. We've got Heavy Blue Gray and Off-White for a white horse. Off-White, Heavy Ochre, and Plague Brown for kind of a lighter color. And then we're also going to do a sepia wash, leather brown, and black for a lot of the details. Heavy blue, green ochre, and heavy brown for the saddle and some of the saddle blanket, and chainmail silver for any metal sort of embellishments that we have. Do we have an issue, Julian?
They're saying it's a little washed out. The lighting that was on you.
That's okay. We can.
Lighting looks good on the actual.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. We're good. We're good. We're still trying to sort out this wall behind me. I haven't quite finished yet, so we're still working on doing that. But awesome. All right. Let's jump in here. First of all, Julian, what is your experience with D&D? And if you can kind of introduce yourself as people are new to you.
Yeah, because hopefully everybody can hear me. So I'm Julian. I've been DMing for, oh God, what is it, 6 years now?
Yep.
Right around 6 years now. Started off DMing online, actually using Roll20, and eventually ended up DMing at a local game shop.
Yep.
In my hometown, and then kind of moved on to friends and coworkers and just all sorts of DMing. Been that for 6 years.
Awesome.
I started off playing in pre-made modules, but I actually totally homebrewed a world now. So
oh, cool.
That's what I do.
Right on.
And I also play on Thursday nights with my dad and a bunch of his friends in AD&D Second Edition.
Right on.
So
good,
lots of D&D all week long, and now even more.
Now a lot more, actually.
A lot more.
A couple more days a week. I promised you guys I'd show you this. So this is the Young Red Dragon, the Nolzur's Marvelous Miniature, a D&D Young Red Dragon by WizKids that you will be painting at GaryCon live with me when we take the show live. And we're recording it at the show, and then we're going to play it that evening on Twitch. So you'll have your chance to kind of be on the interwebs as well.
What's the release date for that to retail?
March. That's all I know.
March.
Mid-March is my understanding. And then this is the painted version that I did recently as a test for that tutorial, and we're super, super happy about that. So that we can actually see your questions. Make sure, folks, that when you write your question, that you write question in big caps and then your question, and Julie can catch that. But that means that I can focus on painting and not get behind, and then potentially actually finish the miniatures that I've said that I was going to paint, which is probably important to do. So, all right. So we're going to start off here. The first draft horse we're going to use, again, we have 4 different ones. We're going to do 4 different color schemes. The first one is just going to be kind of a standard brown with some white sort of embellishments. I'm going to use Heavy Sienna, of course, as usual. Heavy Sienna is a extra opaque paint from the Gay Color line. They go on in one coat, and that is what they're designed to do. I always dilute just a touch so that it flows real nice, but we're going to go ahead and base coat all of the body of this horse, and then we'll move on to the base coat of the next horse. Super excited about tomorrow night's episode.
Yeah, I was wondering if we're going to be playing with the holiday,
Yes, so tomorrow is a holiday in Canada. I don't know if it's a holiday in the States.
I don't know.
I don't think Family Day is, but we have Family Day here in Canada, which is tomorrow. And so it's a holiday. Most people spend it with their families, but the guys have sacrificed to bring Into the Mist. The guys and the girl have sacrificed to and have gotten permission from their families to join us tomorrow night for our stream. So
It is in fact President's Day in the U.S.
President's
Per
Day.
the chat. Thank you.
Ah, thank you.
And I also do have a question here.
Yes. Shoot.
From Oetheos, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah.
He is wondering, or she is wondering, are you going to do a tutorial for YouTube like the other dragons?
Yes. So in March, I have all the dragons now, all the new ones from the next wave, which I think is wave 12. That is the silver dragon and the gold dragon and the red dragon and all of those.
Tutorial for YouTube like the other dragons.
Yes. So we'll have to. You're probably getting audio through one of the Twitch channels. Yeah. But I'm gonna wait actually till March, closer to when you guys actually get them, so you may actually have them in your hands when we're painting them. But we are going to paint all the gold dragon and the silver dragon in March, as well as the red dragon, of course, at the end of March from GaryCon. So March is going to be the month of dragons, and it'll be real fun. So yes.
And we also have from Facebook, Kelly Preston would
Yes.
like to see those huts that you were making.
Oh.
A lot of inquiries about those.
Yeah, we are. So I've been. I was bitten by the crafting bug again. Our YouTube channel originally started off as a crafting channel. And so we used to do, like, we crafted little beds and we crafted a whole bunch of stuff. And then we kind of moved away from it a little bit as I started to paint more. And then last week I got bit by the crafting bug and decided, hey, I'm going to do some, I need some tents for a scene in Into the Mist tomorrow. And so I crafted some tents. If people want to see them, we could probably grab them. If you want to grab, there's a final one, a finished one in there with the front flap. If you want to grab that,
Pardon my microphone.
yeah. And then we can show them off on stream. It's fun, D&D related. Bring the two more finished ones. Yes, the ones that are closer to completion. I think there's two that have the tops on them. Yeah, tonight is gonna be. Tonight's the night that I complete them. It's gonna probably be a late night, yeah. So yeah, so that's if we can. So this is, yeah. So these are fun. I was going to do a tutorial, but then I decided, you know what? I was actually going to just do it for me and just enjoy. I may do a tutorial later. I think people really want to see it. So, but anyway, so that is actually the tent, and I'm creating 5 of them. For those of you that have run Crystal Star before, you know this one's not quite done yet, but this one actually has the working light in it, and so it's got a tea light from IKEA. And little product plug there, and it actually glows like firelight. You'll see it flicker in a second. It's gonna happen. There it is. And so it looks like there's a little torch or lantern or something inside the tent. So I'm gonna finish those off tonight. You'll see them hopefully on the table tomorrow if our adventurers go the way that I think they might, and if they don't, then we'll see them at a later date. Which is the joy of D&D. You prep what you think, and then they always go the other way. Not always.
No, what are you talking about? They know exactly where you're gonna go.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time.
Yeah. Or that I'm just so well prepared that I'm just ready for wherever they're going to go, which is a complete lie. And then in most cases, I'm scrambling to kind of make it up in the moment, which, as DMs, We try to hide very well. Of course I was prepared for that. I knew you guys were going to do that.
No, absolutely.
That beholder was supposed to be there.
We have a question
Yeah.
here from General Kilroy. Use cherry stain on the pine wood, and did you lacquer it too? And I'm assuming, did you use cherry stain on the pine wood, and then did you lacquer it too?
For the table, I'm assuming?
Didn't specify, but I'm gonna guess the table.
Yeah, so either, I can't remember what stain it was, but yes, we used a brush drill bit, actually, to add all of the texture that you see. And it's just pine. But when you rough it up with that brush, it actually brushes out all the softwood, so only the hardwood remains. And then you see the texture in here too. And then, yes, I varnished it. I stained it and then varnished it. But it is pine, believe it or not, which is the cheapest, or one of the cheapest options. And there we go. So that is the base coat on the dark brown. We're going to put that down and let that dry. And we are going to move on to the next horse here. I'm going to use heavy ochre for this one. When I used to ride horses back in my youth, Buster was one of my favorites, and he was this golden color, which I loved. So we're going to do this one. Oh, jeez. This one's going to be Buster.
We also have Melanie chiming in on the chat.
Oh, here we go.
Try not to attack any main characters again.
I don't believe you, Melanie. It wouldn't be a D&D session without a moment like that. That was such an awesome,
that was epic,
crazy moment that I didn't expect. I think the look on my face said it all that night. Can't believe we're already on episode 7 tomorrow night. And there are, for those of you that don't know, our Into the Mist campaign has, and I'm using heavy ochre. It is another extra opaque paint. Again, goes on in one coat, and that is what they're designed to do. But where was I? What was I talking about just a second ago? Oh, yeah, that's right. So we're doing 12 episode seasons, folks. We are just finalizing what we'll be doing for next season. Next season starts April 6th. What we haven't decided fully 150% if we are continuing the Into the Mist campaign or we're going to do another campaign. But we just do 3-month increments, so those that are new to it can jump in. It's easy to see 12 episodes and catch up before the next season. We are leaning towards doing something else for next season and then coming back to Into the Mist in July, kind of summer, August time, right in time for the coming Halloween season. So that's kind of our intention right now, but we will finalize all of that information in the next few weeks.
Got a question here.
Yeah.
So this is from GJS14. How do you keep your brush tips so quote-unquote tight? Inevitably, mine always fray and get stray strands, or they curl at the tip.
So just a close-up here on the brush, if you can see it, I have frays all over. The tip is bent. So I actually don't keep them straight because I paint with them so much. I try to get as much as I can. I'm just doing base coats right now, so I'm not worried about stray hairs. But there are a couple ways. So brush care is really important. You can get, I think it's Masters brush cleaner. It's like a brush soap that you can get. But in order to keep your tips kind of fine, now these are synthetic brushes. I'm not too concerned about keeping them too long because they are affordable and I can buy kind of new brushes. And of course, Vallejo kind of sends us brushes as well, so I'm not too concerned. But when you are finished, make sure that you rest it in a point. After you've cleaned it and after you've used it for your painting session, if you bring it to a point afterwards with your fingers, it tends to kind of bring the bristles together and helps it to kind of maintain its form and its shape. But cleaning is important. Another huge brush tip that I often say on this show is that when you load it, make sure that you don't load it to the ferrule. The ferrule is the metal part on the brush, because if you do that, it just clogs all in there, and that'll stiffen the end of your bristles, and you won't get the same kind of results that you want in that case. So that is a little tip. Pardon the pun. Boom, boom.
So
So punny. We're all about the dad jokes here, as everybody knows from watching our streams. It's strong. Our pun game is strong. Or weak. Depends on what you...
Got
way that you
another
look at it.
question here.
Yeah, sure.
From Oso B Paints.
Oso! Good to see you. Returning person as usual. Oso's always here to see us.
So the
Shoot.
question we have shooting in from here is, I have been having trouble with washes ending up super splotchy.
Yeah.
Any suggestions on how to smooth it out a bit? Add water, question mark?
Yeah, so unfortunately, that is just the kind of plight of washes. I've never used a wash that doesn't do that. If you thin it a bit, it helps. If you thin it with medium instead of water, it also helps a little bit. But I think that is just the intent of washes and the way that they're formulated and the way that they're going to go on. So from what I know, there isn't really a way to lessen the splotchiness that occurs when you put them on. The key, though, is to not allow the wash be your final coat. So, for example, with these, I'm going to do an overall wash on this with sepia. It's going to be super splotchy. And then when I dry brush afterwards, it's going to cover a lot of that splotchiness and kind of smooth it out a little bit. So that's my kind of method, is that, or I'm just more kind of targeted with my washes. So I'll just paint them into the recesses so that, you know, I don't get that all over splotchiness that tends to come from a wash.
Yes, Puppy Lover
Yes.
says they've actually been working on their own young black dragon following your tutorial.
Nice. That is the that one tutorial. I wouldn't say it's the bane of my existence, and I've not made it. But every other dragon we painted, I got it done in 2 hours. That one was not done in 2 hours. Unfortunately, I failed everyone on that one. But that's also because with the black dragon, I paint every spine kind of black, and then have kind of the webbing part in between it not. And yeah, it's time consuming to do that. So I failed on that one. But Puppy Lover, it's awesome. And Puppy Lover is also
realized that while doing it today.
What's that?
They also realized that while doing it today.
Yes. It is time consuming.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, third horse. Base coat is going to be heavy blue gray. Heavy blue gray is another extra opaque paint. This one has obviously been used a lot and squeezed a lot. You can see that it's starting to crack. And for heavy blue gray, this is what I'm going to use as a base coat for the gray horse we're doing, as well as the white horse we're doing. So we're going to do two with heavy blue gray, and you're going to see too, there isn't a huge difference between this and the primer that is already on this miniature, but that is okay. We still need to add a base coat over that primer, and these extra opaque paints are perfect for those.
Puppy Lovers also asked, would you ever think to redo minis that quote-unquote beat you?
Yeah, that's a good question. What I'll do is after a session, because I take pictures of them for Instagram and for the thumbnail for YouTube, so I will go in and finish them after the fact. I've never gone back and repainted a miniature. I'm just the type of person that I'm always looking for the next one to do. So, you know, I'll learn my lessons from that one and continue on. So, I'm never one that will come back. Some people will come back, they'll strip their minis and repaint them. I'm too scattered for that. Or I'm just too, I don't know what the word is, but yeah. I like to move on to the next one. So you, sir, have been told by myself last week that you will be coming to GaryCon.
Sure will be.
To produce our Into the Mist and Nolzur show. How freaking pumped are you? And is this your first con?
No. I am an avid conner. However,
Are you? I didn't know that.
I've never been to Comic-Con.
Like San Diego Comic-Con? Or
I have
like
been to San Diego Comic-Con.
You have?
I have.
It's
yes,
awesome.
Once in my life.
Yeah,
I have also been to E3.
Nice.
A couple years ago for
Same.
the first year that they actually allowed people to go
Right on.
as a consumer.
Yeah.
But no, the one I usually go to is I used to live in Windsor.
Oh,
Ontario.
yep.
So I used to go across the border to Detroit
Yep.
to UMACon.
Yeah, nice.
I've been there many a time.
Nice.
Many times. But never to GaryCon, so this will be a first. And
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
super pumped to go.
San Diego, I was in San Diego twice. I was in the comic book industry for years. And so I was in San Diego twice, And then in the video game industry, I went to E3, I'd say a handful of times, maybe 4 or 5 times. And this was back when it wasn't a open to the public. It was just an industry show. It's become crazy since.
Oh God, yeah.
So you haven't been to a full tabletop gaming convention?
No, I haven't.
Before.
Not.
Yeah.
Not full tabletop. However, there's always been tabletop rooms.
Sure,
Different
of course. Yeah,
conventions.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, GaryCon is something else, man. It's I call it the convention for where kind of the celebrities and the pros come to be fans, because it's a small, intimate show, and it's just, it's the birthplace of D&D. It's just, there's a magic to it that I absolutely love, and I'm super, super excited for you to come and enjoy your first gaming, tabletop specific gaming con. It'll be a blast.
Yeah, I'm absolutely jazzed to go. A couple of the questions coming in through
Yeah,
here.
sure.
So just go back up, back to Ed Tortuga.
Yes.
I'm getting ready to paint the Nolzur Centaur.
Yes.
Any tips on blending the horse color and the skin color so that there isn't a distinct line?
Yeah. So you can take some horse hints. Sounds like a segment. Now on to horse hints. From what we're doing today, when it comes to blending, I use a mix of, if I'm going from 2 different skin tones, I don't remember if the Centaur has any kind of hard line between the fur and the skin. But if there isn't, and you want to blend something, I use a mix of washes and dry brushing. And what I'll do usually is have more or less a hard line. You want to also splotch in the break, or stipple like this, where the 2 kind of colors meet. And then using washes to blend, you blend one wash up, you blend the other wash down, and then you dry brush on top of that, and that usually blends it quite nicely. It's a little hard to explain, so hopefully I did an okay job of doing it there, but yeah.
And then another one coming through by Lunchbox7979.
Yeah.
Do you ever have trouble just focusing on wanting to paint a specific project?
Yes. The reason I love this show, I am notorious at putting, and I'm sure a lot of people are, but I'm notorious at putting minis on my table to paint, and then they just sit there for months, and I never really get to them. This series actually forces me to paint them.
Sure does.
and every week I gotta paint something. So it just gives me the opportunity to kind of do that, and I need that kind of motivation in order to do it. Unless I'm painting for myself, or the other great motivation or motivator for me is, what do I need for my stream? Or my game, my home game. And if there's something that I need from my home game, I feel that kind of push to finish stuff a bit more often. What was the question again? Totally missed it.
Just, do you have trouble trying to focus on one project?
Yeah.
Painting?
So yeah. And I love to do what I'm the type of person that loves to do what I'm in that moment sort of inspired to do. And so I will jump from project to project constantly.
Well, you're also running a live stream and
Yes,
everything else that
yes,
RealmSmith is doing,
yeah.
along with the adventure boxes and
Yeah, all
trying
that
to play
stuff.
in GaryCon, and
Yeah.
you got a million things going. So
Yeah. And all of that fun stuff. So
all that fun stuff.
time is tight, and so I kind of have to prioritize the value while the time comes. But I mean, that's the case with anybody who's working a full-time job or has got a family and trying to kind of balance their hobby with everything else. And I mean, thankfully my hobby is my job, and I can make that time. But I remember a time where that wasn't the case, and you try and make that time, and sometimes it's difficult too. So but yeah, I would say, to help to motivate to stay on a project and see it to completion, have a reason for it. For me, I need a reason for it. Is it going to be on the stream? When is it going to be on the stream? What week is it going to be? And then I have a deadline that I have to hit, or it doesn't get on at my table or on the stream. All right, so we have base coats on the 4 horses. We are going to go the 4 horsemen.
That's not foreboding at all.
Yeah, no, not at all. We're going to go back to this guy, and we're going to add a black wash to him. Black wash, again, for those of you that are new to painting, is a way to add shadow and depth to a miniature. I use the black and sepia washes the most because, in my opinion, they're the best from the Vallejo line, but they're all really good. And basically, with a wash, what you want to do is you want to dilute it a touch. For this, I'm going to dilute it a bit more because I don't want it to be too dark. But with a wash, you're going to brush it on, and then you're going to manipulate it into the recesses. It's not so much kind of painting where you're covering a surface. What you're doing here is you're making sure to kind of move it as much as you need to into the kind of the depths, the crevices, to add shadow in the different areas on the horses. So, and we're on Facebook, and like I said, we're live on the RealmSmith Facebook, the RealmSmith Twitch, and on the RealmSmith and on the D&D Twitch. So very excited to be on so many fun platforms.
Another question coming
Yeah.
in here, again from Puppy Lover.
Yeah.
It's kind of been answered by Sir Keegan in the chat. But,
Sure.
How do you paint and not destroy brushes while doing it? And Sir Keegan has replied with, he burns through brushes just like the rest of us.
I sure do. In fact, I'm due for a whole new set of brushes because you can see these are just destroyed. No, I burn through brushes too. And I burn through brushes because I tend to paint more than most just because it's part of my kind of daily job. So, but and again, the tips that I gave earlier in the episode regarding making sure that you have a brush cleaner or a brush soap that you can use really helps to lengthen the life of your brushes, as well as keeping them clean, washing them after each use, all of that fun stuff.
I think the most important question that we've had come in today, how is Bruno?
Aw, he's great. Bruno's a good dog.
Presently sleeping.
He is presently sleeping, soon probably to be farting, to the chagrin of all of our producers because he sits in the other room with them and they have to deal with it.
Yeah, that was not part of the job description.
Yeah, it was not. Yeah, no, it wasn't. So that is the brown horse with the black wash. We are also going to take one of the gray horses and add a black wash to that. And on this one, you're going to see the black wash is a lot more splotchy because it's a lighter color that we're doing it under here. But I'm going to go pretty heavy on this because I want it to be kind of a darker gray as opposed to the white horse that we're also going to have here. And for those of you that are kind of new to Nolzur's, this is a show for beginner to intermediate painters to show you really quick and easy techniques that you can use to get miniatures on your table. And I've always said that the way I judge what the time that I spend on a miniature is with the value that miniature is going to give me at the table. So these horses actually, frankly, are probably going to be seen more often once our players potentially get some mounts, which is always a fun moment in an adventurer's career. You're probably going to see them more at the table, but for most of the monsters that we do at Nolzur's and in these tutorials, they may see the table like once a year, twice a year, if that, depending on how often you're playing and how many groups you have or how many games you have going. Goblins, orcs, kobolds, you may see more often, kind of the fodder stuff, but for me, I just want to get it on the table. So this show was kind of designed to show you that within 2 hours you can get a decent paint job on the table and impress your players, but also not spend hours and hours and hours painting miniatures that aren't going to show up on the table all that much. But then with miniatures like the Frost Giant, who was modeled after Harshnag from Storm King's Thunder, we spent 3 episodes on it just because it is an ongoing, reoccurring NPC that we wanted to give the love to. So
we have another question coming through here, and it
Yeah.
keeps General Kilroy.
Yeah.
You keep forgetting that S in the word horses, which keeps getting it moderated by the Twitch auto moderation. You might want to include that S so
yes,
we're using the right word here.
yes.
But his question is, do you paint Mustang-style horses?
Oh, that is a great question. Now, a Mustang-style horse, what separates, and again, it's been a long time since I've been involved in horses. I think a Mustang-style horse is the marking.
In
Yeah.
quotes,
Yeah.
spots.
Yeah, so, right. So I am doing some coloration on these. That's what I thought. On the brown one, we're going to do kind of white coming up the each leg, and then a white kind of mark on the head. We're not going to do Palomino today. Just because in the time that we had to do 4 horses, I thought maybe that was a bit much. We are going to leave this one just gray in the recesses. This is going to be the white horse. So I'm hoping that the gray will be enough to kind of get that depth across. That's the hope. So last wash we're going to use is Sepia. That is, again, another wash from the Vallejo Game Color line. This is my favorite wash in the whole line, just because it's really warm and is just a really great color. So dilute it a little bit, and we're going to add it to this, and it's going to make it this really nice, rich, kind of light golden brown color for Buster, the draft horse. Sounds like there's lots of people in the chat today.
Yeah, we're pretty active.
That's good. Keep the questions coming, folks. Also, sound off on where you're from. I always love to hear where you guys are watching from. We've had Brazil and Germany and Portugal and...
Actually had somebody on Monday night. They were watching from Australia.
Nice. Yeah, we've had some Australian viewers.
Oh, we actually have somebody from Brazil watching right now.
Nice. Bom dia. Estás bem? All right. Is Melanie still on, or is she?
Oh, Melanie's here. Melanie is definitely here. They were going back and forth with...
Yeah, talking about her character?
No, just how everything is outside of D&D.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Mel actually bought... I was pretty happy. Because Melanie, this is, she's fairly new to Dungeons and Dragons. She's played maybe a couple times before the stream, and it was important for us to have somebody represent kind of the newer players who were learning as they go, and that's important for RealmSmith in general, just to have, not a tutorial, but basically just so people at home realize that there are new players out there. Don't be afraid to start. It's fun, even if the whole internet's watching. Sorry, Melanie, no pressure.
Everybody's a first-time player at some point.
Yeah, right. But D&D wasn't really part of her world too much prior to kind of joining our stream and meeting me. And last week, she bought a D&D keychain just for herself.
I saw the post.
Right?
Yeah,
it was a big red D20. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, all the love. All right, so that is the sepia wash on that golden horse, and you can see that it's muted it down quite a bit. These washes are drying quicker than they sometimes do. Washes tend to take a while to dry, so we just want to let those three that have washes on. We're going to go ahead now, though, might as well, and we're going to dry brush the white horse. We're going to take off white. For those of you that are new to dry brushing, basically what we're going to do is we're going to take some paint onto our palette. We're going to load our dry brush with that paint, and then, seemingly counterintuitive, we're going to wipe most of it off on a paper towel. Load the brush, wipe it off, and then basically what we're doing is we're transferring dry residue to the surface of the horse. Now, because horses tend to have a lot of kind of flat surface area, we want to take circular motions. Don't do it all in one motion or you're going to see streaks. So you want to kind of come at it from different angles in circular motions so that you get that. And we want to go against the grain or against the texture. What that means is, you can see in this leg here, we have striations where the musculature is. What we're doing is we're going against it, not with it, so that we're not painting into the recess, but rather catching kind of the higher edges of the detail, which is kind of the intention here. So.
Okay, so we got some questions flowing through and some sound offs about where they're watching from. So we definitely have Esavo said Tudo Ben.
Nice.
We do have somebody, New Bandidus, watching from Australia. We have Great Britain. We have Virginia. We have someone else from Virginia. Someone else west of Virginia. We got Texas, St. John's, Newfoundland, France, Inverness, backwoods of North Georgia, very specific.
Wow, backwoods
Missouri,
of North.
U.S., Kentucky, Boston, kind of all over the place.
Wow, that's great.
Edmonton, Alberta, Mexico.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's always so intriguing to... This is actually turning out a little better than I thought it was going to, actually. This is good.
And Sir Keegan's also asking, have we gotten more popular?
Have we gotten more popular?
Yeah, RealmSmith, you in general.
Yes. Well, I mean, with partnering with D&D and being natively streamed on their Twitch, absolutely. The support that has kind of come through because of the new stream and our involvement with D&D has been huge. More and more people are subscribing to our boxes, which is incredible and so fun to see grow. It's been pretty incredible. It's been an incredible experience in general. To see the love that we're getting even on the VODs of our series on YouTube. I think on the D&D YouTube, I think our first episode of Into the Mist, which happened 6 episodes ago, is over 50,000 views, which is really high in comparison to some of the views and the shows that they get. So I mean, we're just super thankful, and the fact that we're a brand new show and the community has welcomed us the way that they have is just really heartwarming. So we thank you so much, guys, for tracking along with us and enjoying our streams. And we're getting tweeted at now on game day with like quotes from the last time people were tweeting out "one must die" prior to our session, and it's just really cool.
Oh, now you got really somebody cool hoping to try and send some dice over Melanie's way.
Yeah, people are trying to send dice. We're trying to set up a PO box, folks, for that. For people who are interested in sending stuff along, we're kind of it's crazy because we're just a bunch of crazy Canadians playing D&D. And loving just doing our hobby and to get the kind of support that we're getting is just it's surreal.
The community and the people around you are always what make it the best experience, right?
Yeah, and it's why we do it. I mean, we had a post I mentioned last week of a gentleman who said he's having a bit of a tough go and life's tough and he lost his daughter and his wife recently and. Battling with depression, and our show is a highlight of his week and helps him. He doesn't have a group to play D&D with, but that's his way of kind of connecting to a community, which
you can't put that in words.
No, you can't. You can't put that to words. And how important it is that we shared our story of our fallen friend who used to play in the stream and all that kind of stuff. Like it's just an incredible community. There is our white horse. So that worked out okay, I think. Once we start to paint everything else around it, I think it's going to look real neat. I'm getting a lot of paint on this base, which I didn't necessarily think about. I'll either paint it black again, or I'll just get some water and wipe it off after, or airbrush cleaner and wipe it off after the fact.
I'm going to jump back in the chat here a bit. We have a few questions.
Yeah.
So, from, again, Estevo in Brazil.
Yes.
We have, do you guys have some news about the partnership involving WizKids and Vallejo to make new painting lines?
Yes and no. They've been showing it at shows. So they showed it at Nuremberg Game Fair in Germany. They're going to be showing it at Gamma Trade Show, which I'll be at mid-March. I am designing all of the boxes and curating all of the paints for the kits. So I'm not sure when the release is, but we're close to getting things together for them, and then it's kind of in their hands, and then they'll release it. But it's all very exciting, I can say that. And it's curated specifically to address the WizKids line of paints. Just quickly here, we're using Parasite Brown, which is a game color. And I'm going to go ahead and use the same technique, but a little bit more light-handed at first for the brown horse here. And we're going against the grain here, and we're dry brushing it, and you can see already it's starting to, the detail is starting to come through. But yeah, it's very exciting. Don't have much more in the way of release dates or anything like that, but it will be hitting your local game stores sometime in the future, sooner than later. So keep an eye out for all of that. Also, actually, I didn't mention, WizKids just announced the Owlbear paint event, in-store paint event. What that is pay attention to your local game stores, because what they'll do is they'll send a bunch of miniatures to your store, and you can sit in a class like this and paint to our. I've been making custom videos, tutorial videos, for local game stores and for WizKids, so that people can kind of paint along and watch a video and paint with your friends and your family, and super fun. So keep an eye out for that, folks. Paint events, local game stores. You can go to wizkids.com to find out more and what stores it is going to be at and so on. So.
Alrighty, popping down here.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name, but JRHYNE 1976.
Okay.
Will you have your boxes available for sale at GaryCon? I'd love to see them up close to maybe buy.
We are planning. We are trying to have physical boxes for GaryCon that you can literally play a demo, led by Brandon, who wrote them, as well as potentially we've been talking to Julian here about potentially DMing some sessions as well for our boxes, which we're super excited about. But yeah, so we plan to have boxes at the show. We will absolutely have boxes for viewing. So we will have complete boxes that you can look at. The demos that we're running at GaryCon will have all of the pieces for those boxes on the table during the demos, and we'll be playing kind of a different box per day sort of situation, I think is the plan so far. And so, yeah, come by. We're hoping to have boxes so that you can actually subscribe at the show and take home your first box with you if you want. But it's real fun, real exciting. So,
All right.
but either way, come and say hi at the booth, or if you see us in the hallway, please, those of you that are going to GaryCon, we'd love to chat with you folks. Do not be shy or afraid or anything like that. We're Canadian, so we don't bite.
Mostly.
And we're super nice. Mostly. I don't speak for every Canadian, but the RealmSmith crew is awesome. But yeah, definitely stop by and say hi, please, because we'd love to say hi to you guys and all that fun stuff. Okay, so he is almost done here. I'm just going to, yep, I think he is good to go. Then we will move on to the next one. It looks pretty subtle right now, but you're seeing the difference with the dry that the dry brush makes. Really brings out kind of the highlights, all of the musculature in the legs. It's all quite fun and quite cool. Okay.
Okay. Question from General Kilroy.
Yeah.
Do you prep them before camera time, like scrapping ridges and high points?
No, I do not. The design or the nature of this show is to literally crack them. I crack them out of the box right before we start, paint them as is. I don't take off mold lines, again, because the intention for these are that they don't get a lot of table time, and so I want to get them done as quickly as possible. So, and also for you folks, now you can take off mold lines. I do that, I used to do that with a lot of my wargaming kind of minis, but when it comes to this stuff, no, actually I just crack them out of the box and have them go. For these ones, I did glue them to the bases, and they actually had little nubs on the bottom of the hooves, and I think those were for when the pre-painted ones came in the boxes, that they're the same mold. And so I had to cut off the little nubs that went into the other bases. But other than that, I hardly do any preparation. Some come a little deformed, or not deformed, but the pose is off, so you have to warm them, things like that. But for everyone that I've painted on the show, I've just cracked it out of the box, put it on the base if I needed to, and then gone from there. For the gray horse, I am taking heavy blue gray and the same color we used to base coat. Now that the wash is there, and I'm going to do a dry brush over that because I want it to be darker than the white horse. There we go.
Another question here from Puppy Lover.
Yeah.
With the Vallejo and WizKids paint line,
Yeah.
will they be new colors or old colors renamed?
So they will be the same colors as the Vallejo line. They're smaller bottles, so they are... oh gosh, I don't want to get this wrong. 8-ounce bottles, because these are 17. So there'll be about 8-ounce bottles, half bottles. But the intention is the color will be the same and the SKU will be the same, so that if you enjoy the paint, you can just go to the Vallejo rack and buy a bigger bottle to fill it again. And you don't have to buy a whole set. So for the WizKids line, there will be two 40 paint sets, like a starter set and a advanced set, as well as 10 different technique sets that will be released on the release date. That basically has 8 paints inside each box to paint a specific type of creature or terrain or something like that, or adventurer. So but yeah, the intention is it's a focused selection of Vallejo paints specifically for the WizKids line, with tutorials inside from RealmSmith. Actually, there will be little pamphlets inside with tutorials from us about how to paint certain techniques and so on in the technique sets, which is exciting.
All right, and the last one we have so far is from Artemis. Question about the box sets. If I order it today, would I get the first one in the new set or the current one?
The first one. So the way that it works is you subscribe, you get box 1, which is the Shattered Shield, and then we will send you each one after that, which builds on an ongoing campaign and an ongoing story.
There you go.
And we used to do it kind of month to month, but then we realized, it was kind of more of a mystery box, and we went away from that because we're like, you know what, people want an ongoing story. I think there needs to be some buy-in there and some investment and into a story, and it just made more sense that way. And it was a lot more work for us to have different boxes every single month that were kind of disjointed. So we decided to have an ongoing, so that first box is now a product forever that we can continue to sell. And that is the gray horse now with the dry brushed gray on top. So now we have brown and gray, which are kind of the fur part is done, as well as white. And now we're going to go on to this guy who is now dry. And I am seeing little areas that I missed, but whatever. And we're going to go plague brown for the highlight on that one. And then we'll go off white on some of them for kind of a final highlight. So when did you start? When did you start playing D&D?
When did I start playing D&D?
Yeah, like what age? You play with your dad, right? You said, right?
Well, yeah. That didn't start till more recently, but.
Has your dad always played D&D since you were a kid?
Oh God, yeah.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
It's so fun.
He's been playing since basically the inception of D&D.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So like first edition?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they still have first edition books.
That's awesome. Oh yeah, you
Barely
play
big
first
books.
edition with them,
We
right?
play second edition.
You play second edition. Okay.
Yeah, but they do a kind of mishmash of kind of homebrew rules and
Right.
taking what they like from both.
Right. Sorry, folks. I'm actually going to mix that plague brown is a little dark. I'm actually going to mix some off white in with my plague brown to lighten it up a little bit here. Sorry, go on.
No, and yeah, so I mean, I kind of got into D&D heavier. Like I said, about maybe 6 years ago. Dabbled in it before that, but never really.
Yeah.
I was more into
Yeah. And
video gaming than.
And was your dad bringing you into it a big kind of?
No, kind of got into it all on my own.
Really, eh?
Yeah, yeah, and then.
That's so cool.
Yeah, then we just decided, hey, you know what? We both play. Why not play together?
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like trying to play with my son
Crazy
as much
going
as I
back
can.
to the older editions, how different it was.
Yeah.
So different.
Yeah. So last year at GaryCon, I played in a live stream DM'd by Stefan Pokorny from Dwarven Forge. And Satine was playing, as well as Nora, who will be playing at our stream this year. And Dave Baxter, Jeremy Wilson, and then beside me was Lou Gygax. And that was a trip because we were playing first edition because that's what mostly what Stefan likes to play. He's played some 5th edition, but he sticks to first.
Yeah.
As does Luke, understandably so. Especially GaryCon, it's cool to play first edition.
Yeah.
And Luke was right beside me, so he became my kind of my cheat sheet, my D&D first edition cheat sheet, and it was so surreal to kind of lean over to Luke and be like, hey, how do I do this? And him open up his player's handbook that he's had since he was a kid, with like his dad's notes in it, and his original dice that his dad gave him, and like it was unbelievable.
Dice that have been rolled so much that the corners are not
yeah,
rounded,
yeah,
so you
they're
can't
starting
tell
to.
what number it is.
Yep.
Yeah,
It was surreal, to say the least. That is now the golden brown horse with a off-white / plague brown dry brush on that.
So we got a question here from Puppy Lover again. Have you ever gotten Ethan to play at all? Does he enjoy it?
Yeah, so Ethan does play. He plays in our noob stream, actually, for the whole first season. We have a noob stream called, we used to call it the noob stream. They're not real noobs anymore, but Tales from the Shattered Shield is where we play through all of our boxes. So actually, those of you that are interested in our boxes, if you go to our YouTube page, we have the first 8 episodes of the first adventure. Spoilers for those of you that have DMs who have our boxes, just so you know, because we actually play through the story. But he actually plays in that stream as Mythel. Win, actually, is his name. Win Mythel, which is a Wood Elf Ranger, because he loved Legolas in the Lord of the Rings movies and stuff. So, but yeah, he plays often. He loves it. When we go away, he plays too at cons and stuff. I'm going to get some off-white here, folks, and I'm going to use that on the main for the lighter kind of golden horse. And I'm just going to go through and base coat all of the main here. And then I'm going to use a sepia wash directly over that off-white, so it'll be a lighter tone of kind of a golden color. I did some research today on some horses, some more horse color schemes that I wanted, so this is kind of the way that I decided I was going to go.
Did that research take the form of Red Dead Redemption?
Yeah, right. I wish. Yeah, exactly. I love that game. I haven't played the second one yet. I played the first.
Unbelievable game.
It's hard to find time for video games. It's funny.
Well, especially a game like that caliber.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It takes big, long 40-hour campaign.
It's a long investment. Yeah. Do you paint at all, Julian? Have you painted miniatures, or is that something you've
very
been
terribly?
into?
Yes, I have painted miniatures. I used to be into the wargaming, so I used to play 40K. Yeah. So
I know some guys who have some tutorials that you could do.
It's more it's the fine handwork, you know. I don't have the steady hand.
Yeah.
It's not something that's within my my forte.
I think maybe we'll have you paint at a show sometime with us in a class.
Oh God. That would be terrifying for everybody watching.
Yeah, no, it'd be great.
It'd be, Nolzur's how to not paint your miniatures.
Yeah, no. It's amazing though. What is amazing, and I found at shows, is we have people who are painting their first miniature ever, never painted before, and people who have been painting them for years. And it's incredible by the end of the tutorial how similar their end result is.
Yeah.
Mostly because they're just following kind of the step-by-step, paint-by-numbers sort of approach that we're showing them, which, you know, anybody can learn. So
it's just getting the techniques down, too.
I will make a painter out of you yet, sir.
Oh, boy. Got a question here from Quantrip. Have you ever repainted your miniatures, and if so, did you paint over it, or did you remove the paint with something?
Yeah, so no, I don't. Mention it earlier in the episode. I actually don't repaint minis usually. I know people who go back and they strip their minis. I've touched up miniatures, so if they see a lot of use, and then I need to kind of touch up the corners and stuff, I've done that. But if you give it a good varnish afterwards, like a matte Vallejo varnish, you know, the wear and tear isn't too bad. But no, I never paint over them. I'm always excited to move on to the next thing. So it's not something I do much, if at all, really. All right, so that is the mane and the tail. We're going to let that dry, and then we're going to give that a wash of something. We're going to go into here, and we are going to base coat the mane on this one with black, which I have here. And black is just another game color here.
I don't know if anybody's asking any questions on
No worries.
On the Facebook thread. It hasn't really updated since.
Yeah, Facebook is weird that way. It'll stop updating. And sometimes you can't see the comments till after the fact, so.
I am going to hit the refresh button on it if we get some feedback.
Well,
I apologize in advance, and I'll hit mute as quick as I can.
We'll get some volume. We may get the volume on the video, so just make sure that you hit the mute on the video.
Let's try and refresh this just to see.
Before they get the. You'll see the mute in the bottom right there of the.
All right, we have muted that. Hopefully nothing came through on your guys' end.
No, I think it's fine. Yeah, but unfortunately, Facebook's chat tends to kind of crap out in the middle of a stream.
Yeah,
and not
there definitely
refresh.
is some more comments in here that
Oh, really?
I never saw.
Yeah. Good.
Give me a moment here to scroll back, everybody. John Ryan saying, looking forward to seeing you at GaryCon.
Nice. Make sure you stop by and say hi.
Kelly's actually asked, how many miniatures do you have?
Oh gosh.
Is that even feasible to count?
I think it's, well, yeah, I guess it's feasible. It would take maybe a couple days to know. We have a lot of minis.
Yeah.
Like a lot of minis. I can't even begin to even. Is it in the thousands yet? Like, just as an example, this is all minis. And there's like, I don't know, 20 per compartment. So just in that alone, and that's just like medium-sized characters. So not to mention all of the giants and the dragons and the, yeah. So even before our partnership with WizKids, I had a problem. So
It's a passion.
yeah, I mean a passion.
It's a
I mean a passion. So yeah, I think WizKids probably partnered with us because they felt sorry for me for the amount. I'm just kidding. For the amount of money that I spent on their minis. No, I love it, and the D&D is that thing where you can never have enough kobolds, or you can never have enough goblins, or stink, I need 2d8 zombies. But yeah, it's always. Oh, one really cool thing that I have to let you guys know is we're trying to make our stream as interactive as possible. And so right now, not right now, well, right now actually you can, but during our stream, we have a little kind of bar that builds in the top left of the screen that lets you know kind of how much money we've raised on Extra Life. And when we hit certain milestones, you can send, the items that you unlock by donating to Extra Life actually are sent to the players in game. They're owed one, actually. They're owed a greater healing potion tomorrow night.
Which they could really use.
They could really use. I don't think I gave them the potion yet last session.
I don't think we did, no.
But it was near the end of the session, so I just kind of let it go, and then I decided I'd give it to them next, tomorrow night.
Yeah. The next item up is the +1 bolts.
Yes. So we're super excited, and it's awesome. So that's kind of our first foray into interactivity. Wait till you see what we have for you guys at GaryCon. What I will be able to say is, and you'll start to see it kind of come up in social posts and stuff in the next week or so, but we actually have the ability for you folks to affect the actual gameplay and play along with the players at GaryCon. So it sounds crazy, and I don't think it's ever been done yet, to my knowledge, but we are super, super pumped about it. And so stay tuned for that. So I've painted the mane and the horse, the mane and the tail with, I did paint the horse actually. I guess it's both, they're both true in the process. Yeah. But I'm going to use a number 0 brush, get some off-white, and I'm going to paint that little Mustang. So I'm going to do kind of the dot at the top, and then I'm going to do down the nose like that.
Puppy Lover firing off another question. Very active in the chat. Love it.
Yeah.
How long after painting until you'd recommend painting on a matte varnish?
So I don't paint matte varnish until the end. I paint the entire miniature, and then varnish it all with the spray at the end of the whole process.
Any particular time that you kind of wait in between painting and doing that last finish?
I just let it dry. I just let it dry to a point where it's not tacky anymore. And it seems, you can leave it overnight, but an hour, half an hour to an hour, the paint will cure enough that it won't be affected by a varnish. Sorry, folks. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually kind of stippling the off-white onto the leg as we get higher. You can see I've kind of blended it just a touch there. But by stippling, what I mean is get it up here, and then I'm just kind of dotting it onto the surface so that it blends slightly into the rest of the leg so that it's not a hard kind of stop. And then I may add a wash to the lower end of that leg so that it's not so stark white. And then we will paint the hooves after that.
D. Clazer. I don't know if I'm saying that last name.
DC Lacer. So DC Lacer,
Lacer.
yeah, is
All right.
actually a moderator on the D&D chat. But is he on our chat right now?
He is currently on the D&D chat, I
Yes.
think. Yeah.
Yes.
But comment after we were speaking about the interactivity at Gary.
Yeah.
His question is, what is this wizardry of which you speak?
Oh, buddy. Just wait. I can actually tell you off camera there, DC Lacer, as you will be moderating that stream, I'm sure. We are very excited. It is madness. But you guys will be able to play along with the party. That's all I'm saying. I can't say any more because I'll get in trouble by my people. But yeah, it is really, really fun.
It's wild. It's just
It'll be
a
wild.
really cool idea.
Yeah, it'll be wild. And that's the thing, like, you know, people can just watch streams, but we're actually allowing people to kind of be involved in a stream and affect the outcome, which is madness. And we're super excited about it.
Yeah. Another question here. Is there a difference between painting on a varnish or spraying?
So spraying is faster. Spraying will go on more even. But with varnishes, because they're transparent, it really doesn't matter so much. What I do find actually is brushing a varnish on sometimes adds more longevity to the miniature than spraying it. Just because you're getting a thicker kind of application of that varnish because you're brushing it on and you're getting strokes and so on and so forth. So what I'll tend to do is if I don't have a lot of miniatures to varnish, if I have maybe one or two, I'll just brush it on, especially if they're smaller minis, just because it'll get done faster than me having to or if it's too cold outside or anything like that, then it's just easier to brush it on. So both work. I do use a matte varnish for most of my minis. I'll use a gloss varnish then after that for eyes or areas that are supposed to be kind of moist or wet or kind of gory or on metal, for example, because the matte varnish will actually bring down the sheen on your metal paints, and so you want to bring that back up with a gloss varnish sometimes. Oh, there's a horse in the background. I love Sirenscape. So cool.
One of the greatest tools out there for a DM.
Yeah.
It really is.
Okay, so those white kind of bottom of the leg hooves worked out all right. He's got his little mark on his nose. And while I have the off-white here, I'm actually just going to paint it into the eye as well. And then we'll come back in with black later for that pupil. Although I do have in this case, I do have a little rogue.
Ooh, we got a bunch of raiders coming in.
Bristle. What's that?
We got a bunch of raiders coming in.
Raiders?
Yeah, on the chat, on the D&D chat. 71.
Raiders? What do you mean by raiders?
I think it's people that kind of all come in and watch the chat.
Together?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Z Bashu is raiding with a party of 71.
Whoa. I don't even know what that means. I should know what this means, but I don't.
I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
If a
Sounds
raid is
cool.
what you would assume it is,
Yeah.
just guessing there's 71 people that just kind of joined.
As a group.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah, 'cause we're up to,
maybe they're like a watch party or something like that. Like
so,
it.
yeah.
Well, welcome everyone. So what does that put us up to then? In that?
We're up to about 212.
Awesome. That's great. Okay, so what time is it? I
From the
don't
left
even know
side,
what
yeah.
time it is. I don't have the laptop in front of me, so I don't.
10 after 6.
Oh, we got time, folks.
Time.
I don't know if we have enough time, but we have time. So look, anyways, that looks nice. The horsey itself is almost done. I just called it a horsey. That's okay. Whatever. I'm a dad.
What would you use? What would you use a satin varnish for?
Something that I don't want to be too glossy, but I also don't want to be too matte.
flat.
I actually don't use it very often. I would use it maybe. What would be a surface that I would use satin on? Maybe metal if I don't want it to be gloss, like a satin varnish, almost like a brushed metal.
You know,
Would
like,
be
I mean,
satin.
If you're taking like war game,
Yeah.
like the tanks or the
Yeah, definitely on wargame stuff for
mechs,
sure.
Yeah. And
For
D&D,
sure.
I don't know a whole lot. You can
Yeah,
use it,
I don't
so.
know. I am using a very watered down sepia wash here, folks, just to add a little bit of delineation on the bottom of the kind of the white part of the leg here, and kind of blending it up into that, so that we're getting a little bit of color there.
3.5 Geek says, I think satin would look good on cloth.
Yeah, yeah, it would.
Actually, sorry, another question here from Ed Tortuga again. So could you matte varnish a mini and then paint gloss varnish on translucent items, like the magic effects on
Yeah,
some Nolzurs?
sure you could. Sure you could. Absolutely. You can absolutely stack varnishes, for sure. I do it often. In fact, I did it in the Beholder tutorial where I did kind of the lenses or the eyes. Do gloss after that matte. All right, so I'm going to put this down now because we're going to start to batch paint all of the harnesses and stuff when we're done some of these. That gray horse there is, I think I want to give it a little bit of a white, off-white dry brush. I'm going to come in really light here because I don't want it to be too overpowering, but I'm just kind of focusing on the higher edges because I'm feeling like it looks a little flat with just the gray that I've added there, but I want to be really careful, just kind of hitting the muscles that are the highest detail. The bridge of the nose, or the snout, nose, face.
I think it's the nose. Nose of horse.
Sure.
Actually, so Lil Raptor has clarified for us. So after a streamer ends their stream, they usually raid other streamers on Twitch with their viewers with
Oh,
usually a
cool.
message attached.
Oh, I love that.
So, yeah,
Well, thank you guys. That's exciting.
that is.
Well, then you can rate us any day. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess you could use satin on a velvet material as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that has brought up the gray just a touch, and I think given it a bit more interest there. Again, the white horse is still looking, I mean, it looks really white, but yeah, that looks good. Now, the question that I have for everyone is, should I do black mane on the white horse, or should I do kind of a gray mane on the white horse? I'm going to leave that out to the viewers. Help me make that decision. I think I'm going to do black on the gray, so I'm going to go ahead and do that while people kind of vote on the white horse. So if I do kind of a lighter gray, it would look good on the white horse, or black would also be kind of good, but I'm leaning towards gray. Let me know what people have to say.
We have one vote for we have one vote for gray and one vote for black.
Oh.
Black dots or gray on the fur.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
talking about the mane here.
Yeah, I'm assuming that they mean they put some black dots on. This gray horse would look really cool with some black dots on
Yeah, you
the
could do that,
fur,
yeah.
on his body.
Gray's got the overwhelming votes so far. I mean, not
Okay.
overwhelming, but definitely in the lead.
Okay, I think we're...
Gray, yep.
Okay, gray it is, folks.
Quantrip is playing devil's advocate and saying blacky gray.
Blacky gray. I could do a blacky gray. I believe that's a Vallejo color, official Vallejo color. That black tail and black mane are looking nice on this gray horse for sure. So that's cool.
Easy_AK has a question. Slightly
Yeah.
off topic.
Welcome.
But other than a really, really, in big caps, tiny brush, what is your strategy for very small minis like the Nolzur's Sprite?
Good question. So we painted a gazer, a spectator and gazers. Gazers are super small, tiny, tiny detail. You can go back to that episode and take a look because I gave some tips as how to paint really small characters. I use a zero brush. You can use even smaller brushes than that. I don't think it's necessary because you can imagine, as long as you're taking care of your brush and you have a decent brush in your hand, the point that the brush makes is actually fairly fine on almost any kind of smaller size brush. So the brush doesn't matter as much as the way that you hold your miniature and the how steady your hand is. And a little tip that I give is, you can see while I'm doing this, I'm resting my hand on the actual miniature and I'm painting like this. So rather than kind of floating your brush like this and having your hand shake, I'm actually resting the rest of my hand onto the miniature, onto the base, or even onto my other hand in some cases for that detail work. Lighting is super important for smaller miniatures so you're not straining your eyes. But other than that, yeah, the size of the brush, as long as you have kind of a zero brush or in and around that size, you should be fine.
Jack's Not Funny is actually currently painting a spectator as we speak.
Get out, Jack's Not Funny. Jack's Not Funny is also, I think Jax is funny, and he is going to GaryCon, I think. But he is a moderator on the D&D.
So many.
Yeah, all the moderators. We love them. They're so great to us. All right, so I'm going to go gray main on the, and my heavy blue-gray is still wet in my palette, believe it or not. So I'm going to go gray main on the white horse, which is blending quite a bit, but I think if I give it a little wash after that, I think it'll really pop.
Back to Facebook again. Sorry, everybody that's watching on Facebook.
Yeah, the chat is always
not loading there, but I just refreshed it. Kelly said that she has over 7,000 minis.
7,000 minis.
Just crazy. That's a lot.
What? Kelly, you're nuts, buddy.
That's a lot. But she's also asked,
He, Kelly's a he.
Sorry,
Yeah, no
sorry,
problem.
Kelly.
No worries. No worries. I've made that mistake too. Yeah.
He would like to know, will Nolzur's make a hook horror miniature?
That is a great question.
Yeah, great creature too.
I do not know. I have not heard anything about a hooked horror, but I'm sure they're looking to make every miniature that exists in the D&D universe at some point. So I would absolutely keep your eye out for that, because it will come eventually, I'm sure. Yeah. Okay, so I have added a gray, heavy blue-gray base coat to the tail and the mane on the white horse. I'm actually going to go in. Am I going to go in and do that now? No, I'm not. I'm just going to put it down. It's just going to sit right there for now.
I enjoyed that out loud thinking process.
Yeah, you like that? See, I like to solve my problems live for you folks so that we can solve problems together. I am watering down my sepia wash and I am adding it to the tail to see if it's too dark. It is not. I kind of like what it is. So I'm using a diluted sepia wash to then add some depth to the tail, and you can see how it's just toning it, tinting it slightly, as well as adding that shadow that we want in there. So it remains light, but still, yeah.
Got a question coming through from Greg Cow 100. Are the figurines still made of lead?
No, they're not. So I have a funny story about lead figurines, but no, these are all plastic, injection molded, and pre-primed. So the world of miniatures is different, my friend, than it used to be. And I just think it's a lot more accessible. I have a soft spot for metal minis just because that's where I started in the hobby. That said, I do find that no matter how much varnish I put on, no matter what I do, they always end up chipping kind of the metal pewter mini. So, but yeah, I mean, Raul Partha started the whole deal, and back in the day, and it's just, yeah.
People are 3D printing their own minis now.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, the world is changing. The world's a-changing. All right, so that is the mane and the tail on that golden horse. I think that was a good call, and I like how that turned out there. Cool.
Question: anything you can tell us about the upcoming WizKid minis?
Upcoming WizKids. So the Wave 12 has been released. I did show off the Young Red Dragon earlier today. If you missed that, you can watch it back on VOD. But I can show you. Julian might be able to get some. There's a couple large minis that we can show off if we want to. Just around the curtain here.
Yeah, sure. Again, mic coming off.
I apologize for any.
Apologize.
Okay, so that is that. Then we have. I am going to dry brush the mane on that one with some heavy blue gray. It's a lighter gray, so we're going to go really light on it. But basically, the black mane and tail just needs some highlights. So I'm just going to do this real quick, just to add some highlights. So yeah, so that one there, and then yeah, we can bring that one too. And then there's also a couple dragons back there as well. Apologize for the mess back there.
These are the ones you already showed off on?
Yeah, I showed them on the stream.
On the Into the Mist stream.
Yeah.
Get those there.
There we go. So I've just added a dry brush to the tail and the mane, and I'm gonna do the same on that. Yeah, that one. Yeah, let's do those three.
Alrighty.
If you guys want to see the silver and gold dragon miniatures, young dragon miniatures, you can check those out on the Into the Mist, last week's Into the Mist episode. We went over those and we showed them. But I will show you these right now as soon as I'm done dry brushing this. And done. All right, so we've got, this is part of Wave 12, I believe. That is the Behir. Very scary creature.
Do not run into one of those.
Yeah, do not want to run in. And it is huge. You can see it by the... I mean, this poor horse. Right? We have got the... This is the Monster Pack, Cave Defenders Monster Pack. I love that they're doing this now. They're starting to pre-package, and the detail in these miniatures is
Crazy.
super good.
Crazy.
Super good. Even the paint schemes are really great compared to historically how pre-painted minis in general look. They are really turning up the heat. I showed this earlier, but I'll show it again. Young Red Dragon. And this is the Baylor, which is super cool.
Also don't want to run into one of those?
Nope, don't want to do that. I'd love to paint that one. We'll paint that one maybe in March. I'll show the other ones, why not? Young Silver Dragon. That'll come in March. We'll do an episode on that. And the Young Gold Dragon. I love gold dragons.
Gold dragons are so cool.
They're one of my favorites, and I love the kind of way it frills and attaches. So, anyways, back to painting. What time is it?
We are running 6:24.
Okay, we need to move here, folks. We need to move because we've slowed down a little bit in our process. Okay, so we're gonna do all of the bits and the bridle and the saddle and all of that stuff. We're gonna basically batch paint. What batch painting is it's almost like a conveyor belt. I am focusing on a single color. I'm going to paint that on one mini, and then I'm going to do that across every time it appears on the rest of the miniatures, basically. So we're going to go with heavy sienna, and everything that's heavy sienna, I'm going to paint in one go. And then this is when I go kind of into turbo mode, folks, so just bear with me here. Heavy sienna again, another extra opaque paint from Vallejo.
So question from Desolation AV.
Yeah.
Any minis on your wish list you would like to see, and any for me?
Any minis you'd like to see on the wish list?
Well, actually, just any on your wish list. That you
yeah. On my wish list, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna use my zero brush for this, folks, because I'm doing the bit and the bridle here, and the other brush is a little too big. On my wish list, let me think. That's a good question. I mean, the speed at which they're releasing these minis is unreal. So we're getting them fairly quick. If you had asked me, 2 or 3 months ago, Gold Dragon would have been on there, Silver Dragon would have been on there. Twig Blights and Needle Blights and all of those kinds of things. Actually, I'd like to see more of those. They have them, I believe, in pre-painted. They haven't released them yet in unpainted, I don't think. I would like to see some of those, and mostly because they are featured fairly significantly in Curse of Strahd.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are kind of on my current wish list. Man, their selection is so good. I'd love to see more of their terrain. That'd be cool. They released their Warlock set, and it's really neat, so I'd like to see more of that. Yeah.
Personally, for me, there's I mean, I'm running. I have my own campaign. I run in a homebrew world.
Yeah.
And the big baddie that I just threw at my campaign is a Cibriax.
Oh.
So I would love to see a Cibriax come out, because that'd be a ton of detail painting.
Yeah. What's a Why don't I know what a Cibriax is?
It's an expansion monster for sure from I think.
Oh.
Canaans.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just this.
What's its deal?
It's just this big, bulbous, like mouthy aberration.
Oh,
from the abyss.
Yeah. I've seen it. It is ugly.
It is ugly and gross, and I think it would be amazing to see a really well done mini of. And
Yeah.
actually put that on the table and go, ha ha ha, this is now your life.
Yeah, they just released a bunch of stuff from Mordenkainen's. I think they released his his wizard shop, which we have, and a bunch of other fun stuff. That was with Dungeons and the Mad Mage stuff, I think.
Yeah.
And he may or may not, spoiler warning, for those of you who have not played Curse of Strahd, for anybody who is a player on our stream, cover your ears. Or anybody that doesn't want spoilers for Curse of Strahd or our stream, but Mordenkainen might have a part to play in Barovia.
Just maybe.
He might. May or may not. I cannot confirm nor deny. But yeah, there is a good chance that he is in there somewhere.
Another question. So do you have any plans for your March streams already? So yeah.
Yeah, we do. So we'll be painting the Gold Dragon, the Silver Dragon, and the Red Dragon at the end of March. So we have one slot left, folks. This is your opportunity to tell me which miniature you would like us to paint in that fourth slot, and we'll take your considerations, or your suggestions, I should say, into consideration. I'm going to switch to a slightly larger brush for the saddle here. Are there miniatures we haven't done yet that you would like to see painted? Please sound off. Let us know.
Fire Giants?
Yes, the Fire Giant. You know what? I'll do the Fire Giant because people have been asking me for that.
Which fire? Is it the Dreadnought Fire Giant?
No, it's just the standard one. They have a pre-painted Dreadnought Giant, but they don't have it in unpainted yet. But yeah, I'll do that because we were supposed to do it, and then I came home, got ready for my stream, and realized, oh crap, I don't have one in my stock anymore. So, folks, we will do the Fire Giant finally in March. People have been begging for it, so we'll make that happen.
GJS 14. So where are these draft horses from? Are they from the a set?
Yeah, so they're from the Adventurers Camp set. And it came with the wagons that you see on the table down here as well that we painted last week. And it comes with like a campfire. It comes with bedrolls. It comes with like a weapon rack. Lots of really fun stuff. I think it was from the first set of pre-painted, or first wave of pre-painted stuff. It was kind of like the incentive, or the larger kind of set that came with it. So you guys can check that out. But yeah. I am not too concerned, folks, about painting the other areas that are primed already here. I am focusing on the saddle with this. We'll continue to do that across the miniatures that we have. Like I said, I'm got to move into turbo speed here. So here we go. We've got it's looking all right. Bridle and saddle are done on that one. We're gonna leave that one the way that it is. Bridle and saddle are gonna be brown on this one. Dark brown, I should say. Time check, Julian.
We are at 6:31.
Okay, just let me know when we're about 5 minutes to done.
Can do. I'm new here. Can I ask or talk about GW?
Yeah, sure. You can ask questions about GW. They make really great miniatures. All right.
Any plans on painting the Kraken set?
We did. So you folks can head over to our YouTube page or the D&D YouTube page. That is youtube.com/RealmSmith. And we have the VOD version of that 2-part tutorial where I painted the Kraken and all the tentacles. That was one of my favorite episodes or favorite minis to paint. So much fun. But yeah, you guys can head over and check that out along with the other 33 episodes that we've done up to date. I can't believe it's already we're nearing 40. It's crazy. Okay, and then for the bridle and the bit, I am going to go back into my smaller brush. Now it's this detail work that's going to take a little longer. So hopefully we can knock that out quick here. There we go.
Getting some good people like the wagons you did last week.
Cool.
They turned out really well.
Yeah, I think they. That was another one I didn't finish. I got all brave and I did 2 instead of 1. I'm trying to challenge myself, but it was a little bit much. So we ended up finishing, almost finishing them, and then extending past because D4 is next on the D&D Twitch. So we had to say goodbye to people on the D&D Twitch, and then they came over to our, which we could I guess do tonight if we need to get a little extra time. We can have folks join us on our Twitch if we have to go overtime a little bit, which wouldn't be an issue. Okay. Again, this is heavy sienna, folks, that we're using for this. Be interesting to know how many people have picked up the Adventurers Camp set and have painted some of these.
He actually knew. Yeah, did it come from the Adventures Camp set or was it bought separate? So.
Oh, good. Yeah, it came from that set. I have a bunch of the pre-painted ones, actually, right here, somewhere. Yeah, here they are. These are the pre-painted ones from the Adventurers Camp set. These are the ones that we're painting up.
Although getting a little more detail of the ones that you're painting.
Yeah, I think.
Sure.
And I think the dry brushing helps with that a lot. It just brings out the texture a bit more. Okay, so this here, we'll use the chainmail on that little round area there, I think. Imagine that would be kind of like a metal connector piece. It's been a long time since I've ridden horses, so I forget a lot of the terminology. I was in my teens. Worked at a ranch for a few summers. Okay, so that is that. So we'll put that down. Oh, no, we're not going to put that down yet because I forgot the strap. But like, as I mentioned before, batch painting, you save all the time that it takes to switch colors and wash your brush and all that kind of stuff, and you're moving across miniatures a lot faster and getting them done a lot quicker. I used to do that a lot for wargaming. minis because it helped to get like whole armies or patrols or done. So okay, I might do a lighter bridle on this one, and a lighter saddle on that one, I think. As well for this one, I think I'm going to do the same because he is a darker horse. So we're going to use leather brown for this one. And that is going to be a slightly lighter colored bit and bridle for this. Is there anybody out there that is running Curse of Strahd right now? Would be a great thing to know. And how is that going for people? And I have been a little selfish. I'm doing tutorials that help me to get miniatures on my table for my game, which has been helpful.
Hey, mini's a mini.
Right? And a lot of the techniques that we learn from some of this stuff is transferable. Like, I mean, you can use the techniques that we used here on a lot of the kind of WizKids has a really great deep cuts line of unpainted minis with, cattle and deer and animals and such. So you can use a lot of these techniques with that.
This is your first time running through Curse of Strahd, right?
Yes, of current current edition.
Current,
Current edition. I played it back when I was a teenager when it first came out for I guess it was second edition.
I think it was second edition.
When it came out. But yeah, this is the first time I've run it. I've wanted to for years. I love it. I think it's so creepy and spooky, and I love a good kind of gothic horror setting. And it's just been so fun. And I think with a gothic horror setting, I think it really allows the players to bring the levity to it, and it causes people to kind of like stretch themselves, but it adds so much player depth and decision making, and it's just really great.
There it goes.
It's getting there.
Getting there.
Do these saddles in the leather brown to match the bit and bridle.
The music set for Curse of Strahd is also just amazing.
Oh, it's been so fun.
Good.
So yeah, so for those of you that haven't been watching the episodes, I've been creating custom sound sets for our stream using the Sirenscape Super Siren online creator. And taking a bunch of different sounds from all different Sirenscape sets, kind of bringing them together, and then creating specific moods for specific moments. And it's been so fun. For those of you that have not checked out Sirenscape, you can head to Sirenscape.com and you can sign up for free and download free sound sets. One of the ones that I use as a base for all of the Into the Mist stuff is called Witchwood. And it's one of the free sets that they offer that you can just use and try. Definitely check that out. All right.
So what was the transparent paint that you used on the Kraken water?
Transparent paint. So I used inks, actually. So I used blue ink and green ink from the Vallejo line. And basically the difference between inks and washes, washes are intended to add depth and shadow, and inks are intended to tint a surface. Washes tend to be a bit more opaque than a ink does, and an ink tends to be translucent so you can see through it. And so I did a mix of green and blue, which you'll see in the tutorial if you watch it, which kind of gave me the final sort of effect I was looking for. It worked out quite well. I am going to go with the heavy sienna on this white horse.
So my question actually just from me.
Yeah, sure.
On last week's episode, did you foresee them actually summoning the Shambling Mound, or
Yeah.
did you think they might actually figure out
Yeah.
the altar?
Yeah. So spoiler warning for those out there that are catching up, if you want to watch the episodes,
Whoops.
and no, it's okay, it's good, it's good. I like talking about it. And don't want to whatever, just cover your ears for the next 15 minutes or so, or not that long, next 5 minutes. But I didn't know. I didn't know what was going to happen. I figured the party is pretty inquisitive. So I imagined that they would go up on the altar, and that is what triggered the whole thing, and then them leaving triggered them awakening it. Could have gone either way, though. They could have just decided, I'm out, we're not even dealing with this, and then there's other things that would have triggered in that scenario. But our party tends to be, I'm finding already that our party this campaign and this season is quite inquisitive. And if I kind of throw a bone or bait out there, that they're probably going to bite. So that's kind of, yeah. I mean, it helps me to kind of plan forward, but I mean, they've done other things that I wasn't expecting, so we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. But they're, yeah, as a DM, you know, I'm a DM that likes to prepare a lot. And I don't function as a DM very well unless I've prepared a significant amount. I can't just I can go off the cuff if I need to in the moment, but I need to have my main story points down. Yeah. It flows a bit better for me. Some people can go completely off the cuff, and I'm just not that. I'm not that DM.
That's more my style.
Off the cuff?
Yeah, I just kind of set up the environment, set up the kind of options. But
Yeah, no, not me. But that's just kind of the narrative style that I employ and that I find works best for me. Also, because I don't have a very good memory, frankly, and so it's hard for me to, unless I have stuff down and prepared, I don't retain it as well. But yeah, so I tend to prepare quite a bit. But in moments like there was quite a bit of interaction last week that I just kind of made up on the fly. And so I'm able to do it. It's just that I prefer to have some sort of outline and preparation involved. And I think there's benefits, and I think the best DMs, there's a mixture of both. I think of preparation, structure and flexibility. Yeah. You know, knowing kind of where you want them to go, having things set up. Main descriptions maybe typed out that you can kind of theatrical areas, but then also being able to, on the fly, if they decide to go off book and off the reserve, then you can really kind of, roll the punches and make it work. Mm. The huge challenge for me with Curse of Strahd is what makes it wonderful is also what makes it difficult in some cases is the sandbox nature of that adventure. Yeah. It's not on rails. It's basically they give you the world, and then the players can go anywhere, and the area that they play in is not that large. So yeah, it's a lot about preparation and kind of knowing and trying to, as much as I can, assume where they might go next. Even ask them after the session. So, guys, what do you guys think you might go? And not necessarily pushing them in a direction, but asking them what they potentially plan on exploring, where they might go, and so that I know what to prepare for next session in that scenario. Because for me too, I just don't have the time that it would take to prepare everything that I could for Curse of Strahd. And so yeah, that's some tips
from Ink and Ignorance.
Ink and Ignorance, painted on the show with us at PAX Unplugged.
Very cool. Hello.
Canadian, yeah.
Do you do much gaming outside of tabletop RPGs?
Much gaming outside of tabletop RPGs. So I was in video games. I was in the video game industry for about 15 years. I was a game designer. And I don't play video games much anymore at all. It's funny sometimes when you work in a field that is a hobby, you end up not having the time to do it as much, and it loses a bit of its. In this industry, that's not the case. I want to play D&D more than ever, which is interesting because video games wasn't quite like that. So I don't game. I don't play a lot of video games like I used to, or as much as I used to. I do play mobile games from time to time, but I haven't played a console game in a while, actually, frankly. But I am an avid airsofter, actually.
Oh.
My son got really, really into it recently. And so it's something that him and I kind of share. And there's a range close by, so not like a arena where you play against other people, but an actual range, so for target range. And he's been twice, and after being there twice, they have decided to sponsor him
Very cool.
as a shooter. So
Very cool.
he's just very, very good, and he loves it and really committed to it. So there you go. All right, I'm gonna go back to. So the heavy sienna, I've pretty much done it everywhere that I need to for now, I think. I may come in and do kind of the blanket here, that color and so on. But for right now, I think I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a black wash to the mane on the white horse to kind of bring that gray a little darker. How are we doing for time?
We are 6:47.
6:47. Are we going to make it, folks? Jeez.
I had faith.
Yeah, so we're going to dilute that wash quite a bit because we don't want it to be too dark. And we're just going to bring it in, and it's going to bring out all of that detail into that mane. There we go. Look at that. And that has really separated it.
So a question here from The Darkness.
Yeah.
Are all the Nolzur's minis on their website, or is there somewhere else they should look?
Okay, so if you want a whole list of the Nolzur's unpainted miniature line, if you go to, I think it's upm.whizkids.com, there's a whole database of everything they have. And you can go on there, find out what you don't have, grab more of it, not grab more of it, but just kind of be aware of it, and then talk to your local game store. But yeah, upm.whizkids.com is where you get a whole list of all of their unpainted minis.
And another question here, does it not affect anything to dip your brushes into used water and use that water to dilute the different paints? It doesn't mix colors by doing that.
Yeah, I've never had an issue with it, or enough of an issue to really mind or care. What I try to do is I try to do my metallics last, because the metallics will actually give little flecks of the metal into your water, and then we'll add sparkles to the rest of your mini. So that is the one case for me, or even varnishes sometimes. But yeah, that is the only case for me where I typically change my water before I use those washes. So that black wash went on to the white horse's mane to give it that dark gray. I think that worked out fairly well. I'm going to come back to some of these later and add a black wash to a lot of this area here once I've kind of base coated it. Now that I have the heavy sienna dry, I'm going to go in with leather brown and fill in kind of the saddle blanket in between there. And it looks like a bedroll or something on the back of this horse, the back of the saddle there. But you can see how they're starting to come together.
Rodman 73012 says that they wish they had the hand for this kind of work.
The hand,
Yeah.
I mean, like just not as shaky, or
Yeah,
just
so I want to show that how you rest your hand.
Yeah,
on the mini
yeah.
Again.
As I mentioned earlier, it helps if you rest your hand. See, as I'm painting here, I always have my painting hand on the base or on the miniature, and that gives me a solid base from whence to paint from. I'm getting a little older, so my hands are a little shakier than they used to be, but that gives you sort of the ability to steady your hand a bit better, or a bit more. Little tip there.
Puppy Lover again has asked, so question, thoughts on DBD?
D&D Beyond?
No, DBD.
DBD.
I don't know if that's, it follows the question about gaming outside of tabletop. I don't know if that's a specific game.
Yeah, Puppy Lover, if you can maybe,
Quick Google here.
yeah, if you can.
DBD Dead by Daylight?
I've never
Maybe the
heard
first
of
thing
it.
that pops up on Google, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, Puppy Lover, let us know what you're talking about so that we can give you our thoughts on it, if I've heard of it.
And then Ink and Ignorance is actually, they just started doing their own coding.
Their own coding?
Yeah, they
Cool.
only started finally writing code in the last 3 years,
Yeah.
and they'd love to get into game design.
Nice. Yeah, coding's a different world.
Question: do you ever rewrite missions or story elements, adding new NPCs when you are preparing?
Yes, so I have added my own little. When I'm using a pre-existing campaign, the thing that I do the most. And sorry, folks, and you're going to see. I'm moving a little faster here, but I'm just using leather brown on certain elements of the horses. I'm trying to use leather brown on this light horse, for example, where it doesn't connect to the fur in some areas. I will use a wash on this to further darken it so that there's more contrast. But the idea is that you want the delineation, especially because these miniatures are going to be viewed at about a foot. So my rule of thumb is if it looks good at about a foot to 2 feet, you're good to go. So that's what I'm doing. I'm focusing on areas that separate the background from the foreground and the color so that from a distance you can kind of tell where that detail starts and ends. Sorry, what was the last thing you... There was a question or something?
Do you ever rewrite missions or story elements?
Yes, so I do when it comes to character backgrounds. So what I'll do is I'll look at my character backgrounds, I'll consider the campaign, and I will find ways to infuse character-specific elements. And I can't give away too much, but I will infuse character-specific elements into my campaigns. A perfect example is there is something that happens later in Curse of Strahd that was unrelated to the players, but because one of my players' background kind of fits with it, I am making it central to that player. And so I will create NPCs that surround that player, whether it be family or known cohorts or whatever that maybe exist in the world. With Curse of Strahd, because you're transported to Barovia outside of your own world, it's harder to do that. But I've found some ways to be able to kind of do that. So, but I typically play pretty close to the book. And especially for our live stream, I like to play it to the book so that people who are looking for source material actually are able to use it for that purpose. And that's kind of why I like to play it pretty close. And I mean, the reason I'm using a campaign book is because of the time that I have to prepare is limited. And so I'm using most of what it says there, but I will adjust certain encounters, certain elements to kind of fit the party better, for sure. Make it my own. But you can see how I've used the leather brown and the heavy sienna to kind of differentiate the elements there.
Yeah, Puppy Lover did clarify it is that Dead by Daylight.
I don't know what Dead by Daylight is. I'd love to hear more about it. Maybe I'll take a look and
looks like a horror game for sure.
Yeah,
Dead by Daylight.
some sort of vampire. It sounds like some sort of vampire game.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is leather brown on that. I'm going to use a different color on this one. Leather brown is done on this one. And then we're just going to do some washes, folks, I think, to these saddle areas. And I think that will be it on them. We're doing all right here. What time is it?
7. Ooh,
Whoa,
6:54.
6:54 already? Oh, okay. We're going to have to shut her down for D&D folks soon, and then you guys can jump over to twitch.tv/RealmSmith, and we'll finish up there. We literally need maybe another 5-10 minutes in order to finish these off here. But we did pretty darn good, considering.
They do look amazing.
Thank you.
Personal favorite is the dark gray.
Is the dark gray? Yeah.
Gray.
Yeah. Nice.
That's a fine looking horse.
Well, there you go. I am going to switch to the heavy green, and I'm going to use heavy green for the bed rolls that are kind of behind the saddle here. Let me know when we're like 2 minutes out. And then we'll say bye to folks and then come back.
If you want to finish the stream, like you said, just hop on over to the RealmSmith Twitch.
And you can follow us there.
Finish up over there.
There, so I'm using heavy green on this bedroll. And this is where I'm going to use the colors that came in our palette, or the colors that we kind of set aside in our palette to add in a little touch of color. So I'm using the heavy green on the back there. I figure that's cool. Leave that. I think I'm going to use green on this one as well. There was a sale on green bedrolls that day.
Blends in the surroundings.
Yeah.
Keeps you hidden.
Right? That's the hope anyways. Alright.
It's a nice pop of color on it too.
Right? It just gives it a little touch of color.
Yeah.
And then we will add some more color too with kind of under the saddlebag there with the lines and such in that. I may do a blue on this one.
I'm not an expert on horses, but no, there's a blanket underneath the saddle, right?
What's that?
I'm not an expert on how horses.
Yes, yeah, that is a blanket. Yeah,
and
there's a
then
blanket.
saddle on top of the
Yeah,
blanket.
exactly. The blanket kind of helps it from. I'm actually repainting this section from leather brown to the heavy green because I like the way that it looks on the other ones too.
Do you guys upload these to YouTube?
Yes, we do. Please, you can check out the first 33 episodes on our YouTube. That is youtube.com/RealmSmith, or on the D&D YouTube as well, youtube.com/DND. I think we're probably pretty close to end time here.
That is 6:57.
Yeah. So thank you so much, folks, for watching. Those of you that are on the D&D Twitch, this has been episode 34 of Nolzur's Marvelous Tutorials. Thanks for tuning in. Again, if you want to watch the rest of this, you can head over to twitch.tv/RealmSmith and follow us there. And we'll just take another 10-15 minutes to finish that off. And Julian's going to kill the D&D Twitch, and I'll just keep going here. You know how to just hit stop just on the D&D Twitch one, yeah. Awesome.